What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Expedition Homestead, the channel where we build your passion for growing. I hope you don't notice it too much, but it is extremely windy out right now, which is why I'm out in the garden today. Put a pause on that really quick. You're definitely going to notice a lot of audio issues throughout this entire video. So please just don't leave a bunch of hateful comments in the section below. I know the audio is crap because of how windy it was when we filmed the video on stringing up our tomato plants. But it had to be done. There was nothing I could do to avoid nature. I can't simply say, "Stop, wind," and the wind would stop. It doesn't quite work that way. So I don't have any control over that. What I do have control over is making a video in the very near future about single stemming our tomato plants. I'll have an entire new video fully dedicated to this process. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so, because we're gonna come out with a video within the next week on why this is a life-changing method to grow your tomato plants. Okay, back to the video. Remember, no hateful comments. Yes, the audio sucks, but the content is what counts, right? You see, I've been neglecting to trellis up my tomato plants for the past, I would say about 3 weeks ago is when I really could have started trellising on them. And have put it off to the side, have not completed it yet. And then last night we had quite the incredible storm blow through. Really high winds, very heavy rains for a period of about an hour and a half maybe. And so now it kind of just pushed me over the edge, and I said, okay, I've got to get out in the garden before my tomato plants start falling over too much. So right now they are starting to curve over to the side a little bit, like they're gonna lay down. And that is the type of growth that I want to avoid. Since we are single stemming our tomato plants, I don't want them laying over. I don't want them broken in the wind or anything like that either. So I've got to take care of it. Now, I don't have all of the exact materials that I wanted right now at this specific time, but you know what? These brackets that I came up with that I had in the garage seem to be an alternative that I might use more often, as they are quite long, these C-channels. So these are, you know, if you were to build shelving in the garage, that's what these are made for. You know, you get the bracket that snaps into there and then you build the shelf along it. That's what these are. So they're slotted and everything. So I've got screw holes already for it. They're very sturdy, and then they're pretty affordable as well. So they're not very expensive to put up in the garden either. What I am missing is, you can see I've got a 2x2 over on that end. I don't have a 2x2 for this side, but what I will do is I'll just get a string all the way across here. I'll show you another thing that we will be doing is taking care of all of our little suckers that we have on our tomatoes. These little guys, they will wreak havoc for what I'm trying to achieve with our tomatoes. So right there, if you don't know, that's a sucker. Just pull those things out, because these will essentially turn into an entire plant all by themselves. So if I left this one here right in the middle there to grow, this, instead of growing up the way we want it to, it's going to really bush out. It's not going to produce as much fruit as I want to on the areas that I want it to, because we are single stemming this. We're pruning it. We're keeping these tomato plants very aired out, pruned up well. Getting those suckers out is very essential to maintain these the way I want them to grow. And the reason why I single stem my tomatoes is because I just found that I've gotten the best results from them that way compared to not single stemming them. It turns out that they bush out a lot more. It might seem like you've got a lot of plant matter, and you do, as a matter of fact. You've got more plant matter, but you don't have as much of your plant putting its energy towards the fruit sets. Instead, you're growing a lot of vegetation, a lot of foliage on that plant, and not as much flowers coming from each stem. So last year, We had tomatoes that were about 2.5 feet taller than this back trellis. So I will end up adding a channel to these once these grow up, but for now I've got to get these in here. It's another really windy day today. I'm just afraid that these are about to snap over. I mean, these were standing straight up yesterday before this storm came through. So I want them to start growing straight up again, so we're gonna support them. I'll show you the clips that we use. These are just plant clips. If you search online for them, or if you ask your local garden center, just ask for plant clips and they should know what you're talking about, or trellising clips. Otherwise, give it a Google. You will find all sorts of results. They're just these rings that clip onto the string. I'll show you a little bit later on how they work, but I've had great success with them, so it's a lot easier than doing any sort of a weave or anything. And I think they are pretty sturdy as well, because that clip goes around that main stem of the tomato at the joints where I'm gonna have a lot of strength. So I've had really good results with that, and that's why I'm sticking to it. Again, I am sorry if it is too windy out here. Extremely windy. Why we're doing this. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much of an issue with the audio, but as you can tell, she's a blowing out today. So time to get all of these strings hung up, and then I'll show you exactly how we attach the tomatoes to the strings themselves. First, I gotta show you a little bit of more pruning action. Mr. Sucker, meet Mr. Thumb. Boom. Just like that. I love it. Get rid of all that unnecessary growth. Yeah, I told y'all it was windy out here. Holy cow! Woo! Alright, for these clips, all we've got to do is pull the line down, and then we're gonna get our tomato plant upright. And then what you do is just put the clip around the string where it's got to be, and simply close it around the tomato plant. And just like that, now we have a fully supported tomato that's not going anywhere. It works great, and what I do is I will put the clips about almost every 2 feet, every 1.5 feet, I guess I would say. Any point to where the tomato starts to lean off to the side, that's what I want to avoid, so that's when I will clip it up. So let's get all of the rest of these tomatoes clipped up and trellised on this line so I can show you what the end product is going to look like. And here is the finished product of that back row, all single stemmed and ready, trellised up and hanging. So something else that helps when you're doing this is if you were to take this tomato plant and then kind of weave it around the string as well, that's going to provide a little bit of extra support even while they are growing. If you've never single stemmed your tomatoes like this, I really do recommend it. Not only do I get better harvest out of my tomato plants, but I also have less disease from them, and then I can grow a lot of tomatoes in a small area. So right here, we could probably even have snuck 6 plants in each row, but in one 4x8 bed, we're able to grow 10 big, beautiful heirloom tomato plants that will be popping with fruit by the time later summer rolls around. You'll see very shortly here we're going to start producing fruit. We've got flowers in already all throughout the plants. Plenty of flowers. So fruit will be soon to follow. Although somewhat like a discouraging note is the fact that I've seen less and less bees and pollinators out this year. And it could just be me, but I'm pretty sure I've seen a lot less bees this year than I have in previous years. So I know that overall consciousness about the effects of pesticides, oh my gosh, I am sorry if it is too windy out here. Hopefully hopefully the microphone does its job. I know there's been more conscious awareness about the effects of pesticides, herbicides, and everything else on the overall population of pollinators that we have in this country and around the world. So I do hope that people start to realize that, you know, the herbicides and pesticides that we commonly used in the past are degrading the life cycles, the habits, many different of the natural patterns that these pollinators are used to have been affected by herbicides and pesticide usage. Thankfully, due to technology, we're able to reduce the amount of pesticides, you know, big monocrop agriculture is using, so that has helped out. I have a friend of mine who owns thousands of acres, and he says that now the herbicide usage that they have to go through is much, much less because these machines can basically spot exactly where they have to spray the herbicide. So stuff like that is helping out the overall usage be minimized a little bit, but there's still definitely something going on. I think we can agree to that point, and we can attest to the fact that we're seeing less pollinators around. If I'm not the only one, please drop a comment down in the section below as well to let me know how you have been seeing your pollinators, if you've been seeing just as many as usual, or if perhaps their population is degrading a little bit in your local areas. That is why I always try and get people to plant as many trees, as many flowers, as many vegetables as possible, and get rid of these big green yards that we have that are returning nothing to the environment and nothing to the ecosystem around us. We want to give the pollinators what they need. In return, they will give us the food that we plant in our gardens like this. So thank you all so much for watching. I wish you were all having a great, happy gardening adventure. If you found today's video entertaining and hopefully learned a little bit, give us a subscribe and hit that thumbs up with the bell button so you're notified of every time we come out with a video. We've got all sorts of stuff coming year round. I've been working on just being a little bit more real with you all, a little bit more storyline based and a little bit less how-to based with the stuff that we include in our videos. So I hope you enjoyed that as well. If you're still watching, certainly you must have enjoyed it a little bit. Happy gardening, and we'll see you in the next episode.